Hello students, welcome to English Literature class. Today we are going to study Aggro effect, which is prescribed in BA second semester English Literature syllabus. As you have already an idea of alienation effect from my earlier video, you should know that Aggro effect was produced to expand the theatrical idea of alienation effect. Before I start the topic, you should know about Bond. Author of around 50 plays, Thomas Edward Bond is a playwright, theatre director, poet theorist, and screenwriter. During World War II, Bond was evacuated to the countryside but was present during the bombings of London in 1940 and 1944. This experience of evacuation gave him an awareness of social alienation, which is reflected in his writings. After various jobs in factories and offices, Bond went through the British Army occupation forces in Vienna between 1953 to 1955. Here he discovered the naked violence hidden behind normal social behavior and decided to start writing. Bond produced many plays. Some of them were political, naked social issues, and expressed pain behind the violence. During 1970, Bond needed practical contact with the stage of experiment with his ideas on drama and improve his writing. Bond real life experiences of war, violence, bloodsheds, definition of class discrimination played a vital role. Most of his plays are very controversial, in which he raises questions which people generally avoid to talk about. His first play, Pope's Wedding, was performed without any decoration at the Royal Court in 1962. In Pope's Wedding, which you can understand as an impossible incident, Bond shows how the modern post-war living standards have demolished the rural simplicity. This play had mixed reviews, but yes, Jenny S. Spencer remarked that it was an auspicious beginning for a new playwright. Saved is another controversial play by Bond, was also demonstrated at Royal Court Theatre in 1965. This expresses a strong frustration of young generation and its repercussion on society, and how such frustration turns into violence and harms the innocent ones. In his play Early Morning, Bond plays another controversial issue of lesbian relationship between Queen Victoria and Florence Nightingale. Royal Court produced this play in spite of hindrances created by censorship acts. Bond's another play, Bingo, came in 1974. It portrays retired Shakespeare as an exploitative landlord who, despite of being compassionate to social violence, is incapable of raising voice against it. In 1975, his play, The Fool, describes life of rural 19th century poet John Clare. John Clare, is considered as the greatest laboring class poet that England has ever produced. So among all these plays, Bingo won the Obie Award as Best Off-Broadway Play, and The Fool was voted Best Play of the Year by Play and Players. Let's talk a little about the Theatre Act of 1843, which had a job to censor the controversial scenes of the play. According to this act, writers were supposed to get approval of their script by Lord Chamberlain's office. Many writers of this time, along with Royal Court, protested against this policy, and Bond was never untouched. Bond's play, Saved in 1965, was also suggested to cut a scene of stoning where a baby was killed in its pram by mob. Bond considered this scene as the pivotal point or the central point of the play. He was not convinced with the idea of cutting this scene. Therefore, along with other playwrights, he revolted against this policy of Theatre Act 1843. Finally, in 1968, Theatre Act got abolished. So you can say that SAVED had an important role to stop such censorship act. Till now we came to know about Bond's revolutionary ideas which produced controversy and his great contribution to abolish monopoly of censorship. But apart from this controversial revolutionary idea of his plays, Bond has also described the brutality of society. The plays between 1984 to 85 are considered as war plays. This is a bag of three plays that are Red, Black and Ignorant, The Tin Can People and Great Peace. All these three plays express war, violence, cruelty prevailing in the society. Apart from all these three plays, most of his plays are naked demonstration of current realities of society. One can easily understand how much the Second World War and other brutal acts of society had affected Bond's psyche. The audience can very well understand Bond's reaction against these bloodsheds prevailing in society, and the psyche gives birth to his dramatic theory. If we say in a few words, what makes Bond to create aggro effect? The aggression, agony or the anger will be the answer. Let's talk about aggro effect now. What is aggro effect? The term aggro effect is a slang or short form of word aggression. As we know that past experiences and anarchy prevailing in society had disturbed Bond up to the most. Bond wanted an immediate action. Justice, according to Bond, is always the central theme of plays. Bond believed that no dramatist can teach its spectators to be justful, but yes, it can make people realize that justice is needed. No policies, no rules can stop violence unless society itself is aware of that. According to Bond, drama is the best medium when spectators see the naked realities and the pain behind them. So Bond focuses on the emotional involvement of the spectators. As you have seen in my first video on alienation effect by Beckett, that audiences were kept excluded from the storyline, Bond demanded the inclusion of spectators. Their emotional connection with the play and encounter with the dark realities of the world work like a shock. In Robert Bolt's words, they work like a slap on the face. The emotional shock, according to Bond, generates a rational and critical thinking over the incident. Audience find themselves shocked to be a part of such a cruel society. For better understanding of aggro effect, you can compare it with alienation effect of Brecht. Whereas alienation effect emphasizes not to connect audiences emotionally with the script so that they could get information for critical thinking, aggro effect believes in the audience's involvement in necessary up to the certain level so that they can feel the pain and pathos of violence and critical situations around them. In alienation effect, whereas many loose events are followed by artificial objects like during the play someone can come with the hoarding, banner, lights, rope, ladder, etc. to make audiences realize that though they are watching it, but actually they don't need to identify themselves with these characters. You can say that this is done to maintain the artificial gap between the play and the audiences. Whereas aggro effects presents lot of realistic scenes like violence, stoning and such other scenes to create real images, which is done with a purpose to minimize the gap in between the theater, the play and the audiences. For the clearer understanding of the concept, please watch the picture carefully on the slide. Thank you.